Hello and welcome to Brew Tapcast. I am Tap here for another Flesh and Blood Monarch preview video. This is the spoiler wrap up for day 3, the 14th of April. This is the Wednesday, first Wednesday. So, got a bunch of cards for us today. 8 cards, 7 sources. Yeah, if you want to see the other previews, go ahead and check those out. We have links to those videos below. Outside of that, let's just get right into it. And hop on over and see the cards. All right, here are our actual places that we're going to see these spoilers from. So we have Cat Footprint, which is I believe, a shop in Taiwan. Red Zone Rogues, Team Covenant, Red Riot Games, Organized Play of Europe, Session Blood, and the Fab Fan Discord, the Wall Street channel in particular. So let's just jump right into the actual cards here. So our first one is going to come from that Cat Footprint website. It is Soul Harvest. So this is a rare. So likely we'll have 3 versions, a blue, yellow, and a red. This is the blue version. It is a legendary Levia specialization. So this is a shadow action. This is not a shadow brute action. That is something that we should keep in mind when we're looking through these spoiler cards. A lot of the shadow cards we've seen are shadow brute actions, particularly yesterday when we saw Levia actually spoiled in her Earnest. So this is just a shadow action. You can have this no matter if you're a brute or not, even though she is a brute thing. Although, now that I'm playing it through, it has to be a brute action because you have to have Levia as your hero. Anyways, I guess I don't know why they didn't put that. Maybe Levia will not be only a brute. I don't know. Whatever. Anyways, don't have to be talented to play this card. Soul Harvest. So attacks for 6. Additional cost to play Soul Harvest. Banish 6 cards from your graveyard. Gains +1 for each card with Blood Debt banished this way. If Soul Harvest hits a hero, banish all cards from their soul. They lose life equal to the number of cards banished this way. So 3 defense, 6 attack at its base cost of 6. So pretty expensive. It is yeah, it's it's quite expensive, but this might be where you're going for your big blood debt payoff. So if you're playing Levia, probably want to play Doomsday. We don't really know what that does yet, but we are assuming that it's going to be big and brutal. So with that, we will expect some good payoffs for that blood debt. And again, if you're discarding any cards in a turn, you're going to turn off blood debt for that turn because of the Levia hero ability. So I think it's not as crazy as it sounds. That you can play this and not worry about banishing and having blood debt. It's just going to be very difficult to navigate turns because you really want to activate that trigger on her hero ability to stop blood debt, or else you're just going to die. I mean, starting at 20 health, it's a lot of health to lose to cards banished for big attacks. So anyways, yeah, so it can hit for 12, theoretically, if you are focusing on mostly just blood debt things. So 6 cost, 12 damage. It's not the best, but I mean, that's better than Crippling Crush. I mean, you get discard with Crippling Crush, and you can dominate it pretty easily, but not too shabby. Yeah, so again, we're seeing that soul mechanic. We don't really know what it is. We had speculated earlier, yesterday's video, that soul could be just like in the blood debt. You have that if you want to mirror it to the shadow and the light, blood debt, you lose a life each end step with however many blood debt your cards have banished. But maybe soul would be like, if you have 2 cards in your soul, you gain 1 life for each card in your soul. Or maybe it is a particular, instead of blood debt, it's like, whatever the opposite of blood debt would be, like, I don't know, air allowance or something like that, or like water allowance, or that was stupid. But you could gain for whatever keyword ability there, you could gain life at the end of your turn if you have X for each card you have in your soul, or whatever like that. That's an idea. So instead of gaining a bunch of life each turn, you have to have these things. Or you could even have, maybe the soul is like, all right, well, if your base hero has 20 health, the cards in your soul act as life in a way. So like if you start at 20, or you're at 20 and you have 3 cards in your soul, maybe you're like 23 life, something like that. And I think it's more likely the other one, that you're going to have this parallel to blood debt, but in soul debt or soul counters or whatever, and that will allow you to maybe gain life. Still overpowered, so maybe they just add on to your life. I don't know. Still crazy, but this is a brutal card. I love the art. That's like leave you just like straight up impaling a warrior through the chest with her arm. So that is nasty. All right, so that was our first preview. Our second one is from Red Zone Rogues. Go ahead and check them out. They just had their 5,000 sub announcement, giving away a scab skin leathers, but definitely doing great stuff. Great content there, a lot of variety. So check them out. They previewed Mutated Mass. This is our first card with stars or asterisks as power and defense, so that's pretty cool. We've explored that area now. So Mutated Mass, Majestic, so most likely this is the only one. Cost of 1. You may play Mutated Mass from your Banished Zone. So again, we're loving to see that when we see Blood Debt cards, so we can have these big attacks, smash in, banish stuff to our Banished Zone, and then bring them right back out of the Banished Zone and get rid of that Blood Debt if we need to temper that amount of Blood Debt we have. All right, so Mutated Mass's power and defense is equal to twice the number of cards in your pitch zone with different costs, also as Blood Debt, as we said. So when they sort of put out the material for this, so it says Legendary Studios believes you can have up to 7 cards in your pitch zone with different values, because they say this can max out at 14. So there must be some way to have that many cards pitched in a single turn. I'm sure they did the math. They make the game. So that can be pretty brutal for a single cost. I mean, what's really cool about this is it only costs 1. So yes, most likely it's not going to attack for very much. It's not going to defend for very much. But what you could do is, I mean, Nimblism works on this. We have Razor Reflex, the Snapdragon Scaler. So we have a lot of things that actually can trigger this to give go again. And I mean, you can't overpitch for anything. So you couldn't overpitch for a bunch and then, attack in and then use the rest of it afterwards. But I'm sure there's a way to exploit this goofy card. And actually, if you haven't seen the video that Red Zone Rogues did to preview this, it was actually really good. It was a fresh take on preview videos. It wasn't just about talking about the card, explaining the card. It was like this cool little goofy intro. So definitely was really happy to see that. So definitely check that out. But yeah, great card. I think it'll be a lot of fun to play with. Just a shadow action, doesn't have to be a brute or anything like that. So we still have yet to see that other shadow hero in the set, but we could play that in this deck. So it's like a combination of a whole bunch of different things from the Demonastery. All right, our next one is Team Covenant. So they have a couple different cards spoiled. The first one is Deep Rooted Evil. This is a shadow brute action, so specifically brute. Got this cool, goofy flesh tree there. You got a group of 4, a covenant of 4 individuals there at the bottom that are like looking up at this evil tree here. So 3 cost, yellow pitch. If a card with 6 or more power has been put into your banish on this turn, you may play this from your banish on. Blood Debt, attacks for 6. Interesting. There's actually no defense on this card, so that's a new thing. I don't know if the other ones that we've been looking at had defense. I want to say that's a typo. Is there just no defense on this card? That can't be a typo, right? That's blowing my mind right now. I didn't even see that when I first looked at the card. Well, maybe it doesn't have that. I mean, otherwise the card's not like amazingly brutal or anything, like outside of being able to recycle, which I think is really important. Being able to recycle from your banish zone back to your graveyard can actually really help to limit that Blood Debt and just to sort of use extra resources out of your graveyard, out of your banish zone. Otherwise, a 3 cost card for 6 isn't all that great. I guess you could play it a couple times, but yeah, no defense on this. Pretty weird. I don't know. Yes, but they also had 2 other, theoretically 1 other card previewed. It was the Boneyard Marauder, and they have 2 arts. They have their special promo card as well as the base card that you'll get in the set. They are common, so there's going to be 3 colors of those. My assumption is they will attack for 6/5/4. Cost 1, pitches for 1 in this particular case. Attack 6, block for 3. Additional cost to play Boneyard Marauder, banish 3 cards from your graveyard. So again, Blood Debt here as well. So this is just more bread and butter cards. Probably only going to want to play the Shadow Brute action card in the red form. It does not seem like you want to play this under 6 power. So probably not going to make too big of a splash there. But again, I think it's really cool that they have that cool promo art of a very different looking brute there. I think that one's more like an abomination-y, like stuff's just sort of grown off of it. And then the other one, the one that you'll find in the set proper, is just kind of brutal. I mean, look at this thing. It's got it's literally bursting with these monstrous like afflictions, their bones popping out. You can see its like arm is like melting away. You're starting to see bone and muscle and everything like just be ripped apart. So there's that. If there needs to be a like way to depict blood debt, I'm pretty sure this is a very good way to do that. I mean, look, it's literally like peeling apart. That is brutal. Very brutal. All right, on to our next one. It is Red Zone Rogue. Sorry, no, it is Red Riot Games. So many red things. We have Deepwood Rumbler. So this is a common. I assume it will be in red, yellow, and blue. Attack for 8, 7, and 6, respectively. This is a Shadowbrood action. Cost of 3. Draw a card, then discard a card at random. If a card with 6 or more attack power is discarded this way, banish a card from your graveyard. So pretty cool that way. You can feed slowly into there. Does cost 3, it's a little bit expensive, but all 3 of these will be able to trigger these your discard things that will help you with blood debt or stopping blood debt with Levia's ability, as well as just be your normal brute thing. So love the being able to churn through cards that way, feed your graveyard. And I think these are going to be important too, because a lot of the cards that you want to play require to banish things. You're going to have to have a way to get things in your graveyard. And like if you want to go heavy shadow with blood debt, then you got to have ones that do this. They just basically they're essentially almost milling. Like if you run out of cards, they're milling a card. So you just take it, boom, put it right in your graveyard. So you're feeding your graveyard so that you can feed your banished stones, so you can feed your graveyard again and circle back through it. So I think it's going to be very hard to make these decks very tuned perfectly, because you're going to have this fine balance of being able to play cards into your graveyard, banish them away, play them back from the banished zone into the graveyard, and just have this delicate dance. I really feel like it's funny because they call it a brute, shadow brute, right? But I feel like it's going to be this delicate, finely tuned dance that you have to do to actually get around and do the things you want to do there. So, all right, on to the next one. We have Organized Play Europe. It's a website where they do a lot of tournament organization, I believe. We have a Dread Screamer. So another common. Assumption is that this will be 3 colors as well. This particular one pitches for 1, cost 2, attacks for 6, defense for 3. As additional cost to play Dread Screamer, banish 3 random cards from your graveyard. If a card with 6 or more attack is banished this way, Dread Screamer gains go again. So that's pretty nice. The cost of 2 definitely can be going again. So that can definitely be something that's pretty useful. Again, this is going to feed your banish zone, so if you want to get to that big doomsday, if you get it in your hand or something like that, or in your arsenal, you can start feeding it and feeding it and feeding it. A couple hits with stuff like this, and you're going to be full. Again, this is really going to push you toward playing a lot of blood debt cards, which is going to push you against a wall of like, well, am I going to die? Can I play these cards? And there's that delicate dance again, as we talked about. So yeah, like this card makes me think about if potions will actually be helpful in these sorts of decks, because again, this might push us towards more like a Kano build, where you and mech build, where you sort of like, you kind of got to be all in if you really want to get your thing going. But at the same time, actually, maybe this is a little bit different. Maybe potions will be okay, because yes, you want to go heavy blood debt, but at the same time, you don't want to go heavy blood debt because you don't want to die, and you're not guaranteed to get the cards that you can pull out of your banish zone. So I think that they're still up in the air of how many blood debt cards you want to have in your deck. But the go again makes me think maybe potions can help, because then you can sort of really chain some things together. And maybe if you have a doomsday, you have maybe 2 of these in your hand, or another card that's going to push something into your banish zone. You can play this with a potion. You have 1 extra card to pitch, play another card, boom, you're filling it up. Hopefully you have a little bit of extra churn, so you're churning only blood debt cards into there, and then boom, doomsday, get that big token that we still don't know what it does, and I'm really excited to see that, because it's just going to be this amazing thing. At least I hope it is. If it's really just like not exciting, that's gonna be very upsetting. But yeah, so that's the kind of thing I like about Dread Screamer. You can also just wind it up with a club at the end too. So definitely some things to do with that. Alrighty, 2 more. We have Session Blood. Gotta love the Session Blood guys. So they have Tear Limb from Limb. So this is a majestic blue pitch 2 cost. Like a beefed up barraging beatdown, sort of. I feel like I'm saying that a lot, but I don't know. This is a straight up brute action. This is not a shadow brute action, although it looks pretty gruesome. That's pretty much on par for what your brutes are normally seeing. You don't have that goofy border with all the flesh and stuff. You just have those nice clubby, beady, woody things on the sides there. So tear limb from limb, draw a card, then discard a card at random. If a card with 6 or more attack is discarded this way, your next brute attack action card gets This card you play this turn gets plus X, where X is the base attack of that. So pretty cool if you're playing 6+ cards in your Brute deck, which you really got to be doing that. This is going to be pushing in for, again, at least 12, like 12 to 16 damage on the card you're going to play, unless you're playing other stuff that, are going to be more like the barraging beatdown thing, which I think there's a fine tuning that needs to be done to these decks. Again, I keep emphasizing, I feel like there's going to be a good build, and there's going to be a lot of bad builds for this kind of Shadow Brute or Brute in general with these new cards that they have here. So, really, really just a juiced up barrage and beatdown, because it doesn't require people to block to get that bonus. It's just really quite good. And if you're going to be playing Rhinar or this, because this is not a Shadow one, maybe you're going to be getting some good Intimidate triggers. So like this allows you to discard. You play one more that makes you discard. Maybe have a barraging beatdown, like boom, they're intimidated twice. And then you're coming in for like 12, 16, or maybe it's the red one. Or I guess that doesn't really do it, sorry, unless they go to block. But yeah, 14 or 20 damage, something like that. So like this is pushing us more towards that one-turn kill Brute deck that was kind of a thing in the past, but maybe didn't make it all the way. But yeah, love it. I think it's a really cool card. Very powerful, very beautiful, very powerful. And our last one, the Fab Discord Wall Street channel got themselves a card. It is Surging Militia. It is a generic, our second generic, first of the day. I believe there's going to be 3 colors, so I assume the attack will just drop, so it'll be 5, 4, 3. 2 cost. This is the 1 pitch version, defense for 2. Surging Militia has +1 attack for each non-equipment card defending it. So, although, yes, this is just a common, and that's, oh, boo-hoo, attacks for 5, cost 2, whatever. Not bad. Defense for 2, not great. But I actually, the numbers line up well. I'm assuming that the power is going to change on this and not the plus thing, because there's no really way to delineate lower than +1. So what I like about this is like the bare minimum, what are you going to do? All right, you can just take the 5. And like, no on-hit effects here, and maybe you could make it have on-hit effects or whatever. But like, you take the 5, cool, all right. Well then, all right, well maybe I just want to block a little bit, like block for 3 or 2. Well then it bumps up. And if you want to block it out, right, it's going to bump up to 6, because you're going to block with 2 3s. Boom, it's up to 7 now, right? And so now you got to throw a piece of equipment in there. So like, it's really cool, because it's just on the edge of this level of like, all right, well, how annoying is this card? Can I defend this card? It's like a mini warrior. It's like the Surging Militia. Like, warrior, you never want to block from hand, right? You always get screwed from doing that. This is like, all right, cool. Well, I kind of want to block, but if I block, it's going to get bigger, then I gotta block more, and I gotta block more. So it's kind of that neat idea, where yeah, you kind of, if you want to block it outright, you gotta put maybe 2 cards and a piece of equipment through it, something like that. I mean, I guess you could put, yeah, actually we don't have any, there's defense reactions, whatever that'll blow it out, but just straight from hand, 2 cards plus a equipment. I love this card too, because like, look at this. It's like all the militia, all the peasants, like this guy's got a flipping cane, and he's got what looks like, I know it's not a ladder, but it looks like a ladder. These guys have ladders. It's so funny. And a little pot in his head, of course. But taking like these rakes are gonna do damage, sure. At least he's got a sickle, wooden sword. I love that. I think it's a really funny set of art there. But I also like, these guys look like they're charging, right? And how is he charging when he's just like, got a walking stick? I just thought that was really funny. But those are all the cards for today, the 14th of April. I hope that you all had a fantastic time looking at these cards. I hope that I got some things, in depth in a little bit. You enjoyed the conversation we had about them. If I'm totally wrong, totally missing stuff, let me know. Otherwise, again, links are below to check out the other spoiler days. Yeah, so probably going to not be doing tomorrow. Going to have to push those to Friday, but we'll be back with more spoiler videos very, very soon. So thank you all for hanging out. And yeah, that'll be it for Drew Tap Cast. I am Tap saying thank you so much for watching. Goodbye and cheers.